So on behalf of AGF, we are very happy to be here today to formalize this partnership between AGF and the Women World Banking. So today's signing is not just the beginning of a collaboration, but it's a commitment to unlocking the full potential of women entrepreneurs across Africa. As we know, women entrepreneurs are facing many challenges in Africa. You know, access to market, access to finance, access to networking, to education, to job opportunity, access to asset, mostly access to land, access to wealth. And we have in Africa and around the world many organizations looking to provide solutions, you know, to overcome all these challenges. But what we do believe at AGF is that the first step towards an impactful and lasting solution is partnership. Partnership is key. So the challenges we are trying to solve are very huge, and we believe that no kind of organization, no institution can alone achieve those challenges. So in terms of partnership, what we want to achieve with Women World Banking is, first of all, to share resources. So we want to share financial resources, human resources, expertise. We want to create a lot of synergy, and we do believe that there are many synergies between AGF and Women World Banking. We want to expand our network to open doors to new markets, to new customer segment, and scale our business operation. And lastly, we want to drive advocacy. Advocacy is very key. So Women World Banking has more than 40 years of experience in advancing women financial inclusion. They have reached over 91 million women worldwide. They have been working with close to 70 service providers, financial service providers in over 40 countries in the world, including 15 countries in Africa. And they have understood the importance of building partnership with policymakers, mainly governments and regulators, and also with the civil society to promote gender inclusivity. So what we have in common is not just the shared vision. We also engage with the same type of stakeholder. You know, I was discussing earlier with Marie-Hélène on the different stakeholders that we engage on a regular basis. You know, we start with the funders, you know, the same way AGF is engaging with MasterCard Foundation, Visa Foundation, the GFI, WWB, they do the same. We also engage with lenders, you know, what we call at AGF, PFIs, you are the financial service provider. We work together with the policymakers, you know, in our business. The regulator is key, government is key. And more importantly, the end beneficiary, the SME, the women entrepreneur is at the center of the stakeholder that we kind of engage with. So we want to jointly work together on this initiative to address the barrier faced by women entrepreneurs. And the way we look at those barriers is on two ways. You know, on one side, we have the demand side, and the supply side. So the demand side, we have women own or led businesses, women entrepreneurs, and they face major challenges. And I would say the top four is lack of collateral. Collateral is a major challenge for women in Africa. We know that for cultural reason, for social reason, only 3% of women in Africa own land, and land is the preferred forms of collateral, you know, when it comes to secure a loan from any commercial bank. The second challenge faced by the demand side is informality. Most women business are in the informal sector. And then the third challenge is lack of technical skills. Here we talk about the financial management skills, the legal skills, because earlier I mentioned about access to land. Sometimes beyond the social reason, it's also understanding the legal framework. You know, it's understanding the legislation in place to have access to such asset. And then the last challenge is mainly cost, the affordability. You know, they feel that the interest rate still remain very high. So, and these are what we want to tackle. On the supply side, so the supply of financing, we have the financial institution the financial service provider, 90% of them are banks. And then we have microfinance, SACCOs, fintech, you name it. So the main challenges that are faced by the supply side is product. Product is a very key one. It's the fact that the product that banks are offering are not well customized, to address the need of the SME. So we want banks to offer tailored product. The second one is risk. Risk is a big component, mainly when it comes to SMEs, when it comes to the continent. We have the riskiest continent, and SME is the riskiest form of business. And then people believe that women is the riskiest gender. So it's in terms of perception. And that's why we say at AGF, we are not de-risking the credit risk. What we are de-risking is the bias risk. Perceived risk is very big. And the third challenge faced by the supply side is regulation. Because we tend to sometimes say that the bank, they don't want to lend, they don't want to support women. And we forget that the bank, they are also regulated. They have regulatory constraints, they have to comply with the regulator. So what we're also trying to do through advocacy is to engage the regulator, engage the central bank, understanding that social risk is a huge component of the risk that they are trying to manage. Because, the role of the regulator is to make sure that we are in a stable environment. And what they tend to look at is the financial risk. But now they have understood that financial risk can be driven by climate risk, but also by social risk. So how do we engage more and more with the regulator so that as they compute the social risk, the financial risk, they take into account the social risk. So to address these challenges that I mentioned earlier, we will work in 3 areas, with Women World Banking. The first area is access to finance. So we will scale our guarantee product, our risk-sharing product to address the issues on collateral, on risk perception, and mainly on this bias, the bias risk. The second area will be on capacity building. We believe that capital alone will not solve the problem. In addition to the capital, we need to capacitate SMEs via training, mentorship, and program to support them to improve their financial skills, their legal skills, their loan readiness, and the way they do like the bookkeeping, which is also very critical for financial institutions. We also work with financial service providers to design products that are adapt to the need of the SME, that are more aligned also to the business cycle. And the third area will be advocacy. And this is where we really, really need the support of Women World Banking when it comes to advocacy. They work very closely with regulator, with policy maker, because this is at the core of the business that we are doing. So as I'm closing, I would like to stress once again that women entrepreneurs represent one of Africa's greatest untapped resources. It's a resource that still need to be developed. And by investing in women entrepreneurs, we invest in stronger family, in resilient community, and sustainable businesses. So we are very proud to partner today with Women World Banking in this mission. So together we believe that we will create a stronger, more inclusive ecosystem for where women entrepreneurs can lead, can innovate, and can transform the future of our continent. So thank you to both teams who have put a lot of effort, in working to make sure that today this partnership can happen. And I do believe that each generation have its fight. Our previous generation, the generation of our grandparents, of our parents, their fight was freedom. Remember during maybe slavery, the fight was freedom. And then the next fight was independence. They wanted to be independent. And then after that, during the World War, the fight was peace. And we have been able to achieve that. And I believe that the fight of our generation is inclusivity. We want a more inclusive environment, a more inclusive community.